A special edition of Footy Feed here on AFL.com.au. Hello everyone, I'm Matt Thompson alongside AFL.com.au reporter Nick Bowen, and we're joined in conversation today by the Chief Executive of the AFL, Andrew Demetriou. Andrew, thanks so much for your time.
Hey Matty, how are you?
Yeah, good to see you. Now, 2014, a new year. Is it a fresh start for the Code this year?
Oh, I hope so. All indicators are very positive about the year ahead. We've got a lot to look forward to this year, particularly when you consider we've got two premiership coaches coming back into the ranks in Paul Roos and Mark Thompson. We've got some new young superstars coming through, and Tom Boyd, for example, #1 draft pick. You'll see Buddy running around in the Sydney Swans. Will Port keep improving? The Fremantle Football Club ready to take the next step. There's a lot to look forward to, and don't forget the first game back at Adelaide Oval after, Lord knows how long, $535 million redevelopment. There's a lot to look forward to. We're
going to talk about a lot of that in the next few minutes. You mentioned Buddy Franklin. Can we start with him? Because he's one of the stories of the off-season. What was your first reaction when you heard that the Sydney Swans had done this deal?
Well, the truth of the matter is that I was as surprised as anybody else, because I was on the Gold Coast after the grand final with my children as part of school holidays, and we're at Wet and Wild, and I got this call about it, and I was stunned. And I think I'd lost a couple of children for about 5 minutes. But look, I was shocked like everybody else. I was probably more shocked, one, that he'd gone to Sydney, because I thought all the talk was he was going to the Giants, and secondly for the length of the agreement. So, look, it's great for the game when you consider that he's playing for Sydney and he's in that market, or people are already talking about it. But people are entitled to question the length of the agreement, which has been probably the main focus.
It was an extraordinary agreement, Andrew. If, say, the Western Bulldogs or North Melbourne had come to you with a similar agreement, do you think the AFL would have approved it?
Well, it wasn't a matter of us not approving it. I mean, it's within the rules. But only time will tell whether it's been a good decision or not. I mean, he's not 21. He's at a different age. He's an incredible athlete. We know that. I hope he plays for the next 9 years. It'd be a great thing. And I hope he's successful, and because I like Buddy and he's great for the game. And Sydney Swans could have some success with him. From a competition perspective, that would be a good thing. If the Giants can create a good rivalry and start winning some matches as well during that period, it would be excellent.
Now, the supplements scandal continues to linger, Andrew. Are we going to reach any finite conclusion? I mean, obviously we've just seen the retirement, or the imminent retirement now, of the CEO of ASADA, and also there's a former judge now involved at that level. Are we ever going to get to the end of this thing? Oh,
I'm sure we will. I mean, you heard recently the announcement from Minister Dutton, the sports minister, who appointed a recently retired federal court judge to expedite the investigation, and he's in there now, and he's working to a timetable.
And what's he going to do? What's the end result of that?
As I understand it from the Minister, he's got two roles. One is to look at what is there before him to see whether there's anything to answer for, and also if there is something to answer for, that he'll make sure that that investigation is conducted properly and completed. But I think in the main it's to put some finality, one way or the other, to the investigation, so that we can all get on with football and not be distracted, not go backwards. We've welcomed the appointment, a very sensible appointment from the Minister, and we'll do whatever we can to work with the judge if that's what he requires.
Of course, Essendon aren't the only ones being investigated. There's also Gold Coast, Nathan Bock, and Melbourne. Can you tell us where those investigations are at?
Well, the Melbourne one is, as I understand it through Brett Clothier, ongoing. I don't know where that's at, and I wouldn't know. It's never been confirmed about which other player, which other club is being investigated. It's only speculation, so I really can't add anything. I don't even know if there's another investigation going on with another player.
One of the, I suppose, wash-ups of last year's investigation, obviously, with James Hird getting a substantial lump sum payment from Essendon last year that will cover the term of his suspension. Were you comfortable with that?
Well, that's a matter entirely for Essendon and James Hird. That's obviously an agreement that they'd reached between themselves. And they will obviously work through that, and he'll be welcome back at the end of the year in accordance with his agreement. Again, but they're matters for Essendon and James Hird.
But that didn't look great for the AFL, the way that kind of unfolded that week, did it?
No, it wasn't a great ending to the year, so we shouldn't pretend otherwise. But it was an agreement that was between Essendon and James Hird.
Overall, do you think personally you could have done anything differently in 2013 in terms of the handling of the supplement scandal?
Look, we're currently reviewing all of that, Matty, with the Commission. You know, when you're in the moment, you think you're doing everything that you could possibly do, and it's a very complex situation. But look, I'm pretty proud of the way the AFL handled the supplement saga and the investigation with the SADA. I'm comfortable that we've put in place really worthwhile integrity measures to protect the code. I mean, we are really well equipped to protect the code. Well, we were already well equipped, but that was a wake-up call. We've invested in the integrity unit. We've got 14 full and part-time people. We've invested in surveillance, IT. We're doing our best to protect. We've got new rules in place. We've banned the use of IVs and injections. We're infinitely better placed to avoid that sort of situation happening again.
Do you want to avoid as well it going into a situation where there's this slanging match in the media between all the parties? I mean, you can't be happy with the way that all played out.
No, but look, that's the nature of the media. I mean, there's a lot of those things got personal. It's probably more preferable that doesn't play out that way. But look, there were lots of things that occurred last year which are beyond your control. And I think, you know, if we can all move forward as we're trying to do, and I think our supporters want us to move forward. By the end of the year, everyone was very fatigued by the issue. I think the more we can celebrate all the good things about the game and talk about the players and the clubs and things that our supporters want to hear, not about individuals, not about me or whoever. I mean, that's probably a more palatable thing. All
right, we've got a little bit more to move through. Let's turn our attention now and talk some footy. Back in 2005, I've got the quote here, you described the Sydney Swans as unattractive. I don't think you'll ever forget that particular interview at that particular time. What do you think of the way Fremantle play?
Well, I like the way Fremantle play. I mean, were unfortunate in the grand final. I watched some of the replay of the grand final the other day, and I didn't realise, watching it back, that Fremantle had got so close, because you would have thought on that day Hawthorn dominated most of the day, but Fremantle got to within 3 points. And but who could forget that preliminary final that you're showing up on screen now? I mean, what Fremantle did in the first half to almost dismember the Swans was one of the most incredible football we've ever seen. We were all in shock. I mean, it was brutal. It was football like we've never seen it played before. I like it, but, you know, football evolves. You know, Ross Lyon is a great coach. He's probably thinking about different things he'll do this year, as great coaches do, and other coaches are thinking of different tactics they'll use. The more the coaches evolve the game, the better the game will be. Some will work out how to exploit a particular tactic. It's probably best left to them to try and work out what's best for the game.
Andrew, equalisation will be one of the big topics this year. What specific measures do you see coming in over the next few seasons?
Well, it is a very important topic. It's probably the most important strategic topic on our agenda for a long, long time. We do want to create uncertainty of outcome. We do want supporters to go along before a game and not know what's going to happen. We don't want blowouts. We do want every team to have the capability, the capacity to pay 100% of their cap. We do want them to have the best opportunity to put a competitive football field on the ground, and what they do out off the ground and other areas, well, so be it. We don't want every club to be the same. So some of the real key issues we're looking at are things around revenue sharing, things like luxury taxes around spends above a certain level. We haven't landed on the right formula yet. We're still in consultation with the subcommittee and, of course, the Commission. And it's not easy, you know. It's another evolution of where we've been with equalisation. So what's been good about it is that we've learned a lot of lessons from the states, and we're having good dialogue with the clubs. We're going to use this year to try and land on a formula for next year, and I think we'll get there. There's
a growing perception there's going to be a cap on footy department spend. Is that how likely is that?
Well, I don't know if that is right. The sorts of things we've been discussing more around not trying to stymie innovation. If clubs want to spend more in their football department, they still might be able to, but they might have to pay a luxury tax. It's one option, but I'm not saying that's where we land. But there's a lot more to discuss and a lot more to analyse.
The AFLPA's put forward one model today of a combined cap between covering the players and all footy staff. Is that an option?
Look, I first heard that today. Matt hasn't presented that before, and he's on the subcommittee. My first instinctive response is that it's fraught with some issues. Probably the main issue is that, you know, we're moving heavily towards trying to get a cap that is the same for all clubs. And if you have a cap that you can move around because you've got it within one cap, we don't want a situation where one club's spending 13 million on their players and another club's spending 8, which could happen under that scenario. I mean, that defeats the whole purpose of equalisation. So they're the difficulties with that proposal. But that's my first response. I haven't looked at it closely enough.
Andrew, every time we talk to you in one of these settings, we have to ask a question about your tenure at the AFL.
Every year. You're about the 5th person today.
So,
yes.
What's the answer? Are you going to remain at the helm for the remainder of the year?
The answer is, I answer this question every year the same way. I get asked the same question. You'd have to believe that in my 11th year that I'm closer not to being here than being here. Well, that's a fair comment, given that it's 11 years. But look, I enjoy what I'm doing. It's not about me. This year is about moving forward, about the game. People don't want to hear about me. They want to hear about their club and their players. And I don't even want to talk about me, to be honest. So
will you see through the next TV rights deal? I guess that's a time frame, a legitimate time frame.
I haven't even thought about it, Matty, because that's 2016 and, geez, I'm still trying to get through the night with my children not sleeping, to be honest. That's a big priority for me.
All right. So that's the answer to that question that we've all been waiting for. We've got time for just really a couple more, Nick.
Just going to say, Andrew, what challenges are left for you in the game?
Well, the great thing about this game, this industry, there's always challenges. You know, on the Commission's agenda at the moment, obviously, is the equalisation issue, huge challenge. An issue, obviously, around making sure we've got the expansion teams bedded down. There's a significant investment in those two teams, 220 million. You wouldn't be surprised, we're already preparing for the next broadcast rights. We do a lot of work around that through Gill. You know, we've looked at the early purchase of this stadium, Etihad Stadium, which would be a great strategic value to the AFL. We've got lots of... We want to invest heavily in diversity, in women, in Indigenous, in multicultural. There's lots of challenges that we've got, and they're exciting challenges. And, you know, having Adelaide Oval come on board, and then, 3 years later we'll have, Burswood in WA to complete the national grid, that's exciting. So I can assure you, they're the things I know that are around the corner. It's also the unexpected that provide challenges, and there's a lot of those. Yeah,
you never know what's going to happen next. We are literally out of time. We always are when we have a chat to you. We could actually just run a live stream all day and continue talking to you.
And I do my best to answer all your questions faithfully.
I'm sure you would. But just before we let you go, what's one thing you're looking forward to most this season? And do you, at this very early stage, have a tip for the flag?
Look, the one thing I'm looking forward to this year is the first game in South Australia, Adelaide Oval, which is early on in the season, because having been involved in that deal intimately and having got the support of the state government and helping bring football and cricket together with so many other people after a 40-year apart.
Yeah.
And to see what's been achieved at Adelaide Oval is something I can't wait for. And it's going to be great for the two clubs, great for their supporters, great for cricket, great for the South Australian public with a $37 million footbridge connecting the Oval with the city. It's going to transform the city. So I'm looking forward to that, because when you've been involved in something and you see it come to fruition, after probably 4 or 5 years, there's a lot of people put some great work into it, and I really can't wait. It's going to be a great atmosphere, 50-odd thousand at that first game. And
a tip for the flag, if you could be so brave?
I think you've got to lose one to win one, Matty, and I think Fremantle are going to be really hard to beat this year.
Big year for the Dockers. Great to see you, Andrew. Thanks, as always, for your time, and good luck with the next interview that you've got to do. I think it's with Nick.
Good on you. Thanks, Andrew.
Andrew Demetriou with us here on afl.com.au. Of course, 2014 is going to be big, and the footy news never stops right here online.